Hi there, my name's Ross from Ribeye Boats, and on this video I'm going to give you a walkthrough of a recent Ribeye 6-metre outboard tender. We've built this tender for a 40-metre sail yacht, so the key thing we had to integrate in the design here was how we were going to lock in this tender with the davits on the transom, because this sail yacht is going to be sailed hard when out in the field. So if you come closer, we'll start off by looking at these boarding steps. There's two in the front of the tender and two here at the stern. So you'll see initially we have fitted these female receivers, and on the davits there's a male receiver, and when they integrate that really does lock the tender in. So when the yacht is on its side, the tender's not going to move in any way, and that was absolutely critical with the design of this tender. I'm now going to step on board and show you some more features. A key thing we had to get right on this design as well is the boarding. Because this will be a multi-use tender, it will be used from everything from guest transfer, water sports, to garbage and shuttle runs to the shore. So you'll see we have the 4 boarding steps, finished with a nice soft sea deck. We also have removable cushions here, which you can simply remove like so, revealing another step, allowing for easy access in and out of the tender when you're alongside a pontoon. Another reason why we went for the soft sea deck on this particular tender is we needed to build the specification quite light to suit the safe working load of the davits. Whilst we're at the back of the tender, some other bits of specification. I mentioned this will be used for water sports, so we have a removable carbon ski pole here to pull in wakeboarders or mono skiers. That can be removed in a few moments and then clipped into the aft locker area there for when the tender's in stowage mode with the davits. We have more non-slip sea deck in the splash well, so if crew was going to help guests out of the water when boarding, that's not a problem at all. The ladders to be fitted on the tender either side of the engine. We also have the Yamaha 130 engine, which is a really good engine from a power to weight perspective, but also the reliability is absolutely second to none. It performs really well, and when the engine is running, it runs really low, so the vibration throughout the tender is absolutely minimal, and you can barely hear it. So for those slower guest transfer runs to shore, keeping that noise pollution down is absolutely spot on, and that's why we love the Yamaha. Another thing to aid boarding when getting on and off the tender, we also designed in these stainless steel carbon boarding pole receivers here, which have a thread and they're through bolted through a really solid part of the laminate to minimise the flex of the boarding pole. From a seating perspective, if we're focusing on guest shuttling to shore, you can easily sit 3 along the back, and this is a flip helm seat, so when flipped backwards you can comfortably seat 2 guests facing backwards here. And due to the increased height in our design here, it also works really well for a water sports spotter seat. And then having 5 guests behind you here allows for your helmsman and also another crew sat here, and the bow seat will come with a cushion if you want to seat someone else up there. You're also able to flip this seat forward, which actually opens up more space behind the helm station, and if you're just looking to kind of shuttle supplies to the yacht and you really need more space again, this entire helm seat is actually removable. In terms of the console, we've got a really well finished dash space here, and you know, the finish, the rigging quality and the detailing is something that Ribeyes are really known for. The attention to detail is fantastic. So we have a carbon dash panel fitted on here, a really high quality steering wheel, which really does feel like an extension of the yacht. A fantastic grab rail all around this console, which means guests or crew moving around the tender has always got something to grab onto. You'll find lifelines and tube handles as well throughout the tender. You've got your VHF fitted there. There is a glove box with a USB and a 12-volt output, so if your crew are out doing a lot of runs all day, they might want to leave a phone charging cable in there, so that comes in really handy. And this particular console design does actually fold. You can design it to fold forward, but on this particular setup, to integrate with the davits, we've gone for a heavy duty hinge here at the back of the console, so the fold will actually be backwards. And it's absolutely critical that when this is folded down backwards, that it is super solid because of the harsh sort of sailing use that the mothership is going to go under. So we've engineered this really heavy duty bracket system here, and you'll find these locking pins, which if you remove and then attach to these top fittings here with a bar, it literally locks the console in its downwards position. The forward lifting eye for the davit you'll find right here in the way in the deck there, which is really easy to deploy. As we move to the forward part of the tender, you'll see the windscreen that we fitted here, which is a really high finish and has that sort of automotive style finish along there with the ribeye logo, as you can see. The petrol fuel input is just down here, as you can see, and a nice little detail again just for the longevity and the finish of the tender is it's not a flush sticker, it's actually a gel sticker, which means that when you remove the petrol cap and this hangs down the wire, the fuel cap won't scratch the laminate, which is a really cool bit of finish by the ribeye boat builders. You'll find another inspection acetal plastic deck hatch there, again fully watertight. And as we move it to the forward area, you'll see the finish of the sea deck throughout the tender is really nicely finished and fitted around all the features that we've designed in with this platform. Rather than a plastic hatch, we actually mould a forward hatch there, which makes this actually like quite a large high-rising boarding step, so fully structural, standing on and off, as you can see. And littered around the tender, we have an example of one of the ribeye pop-up cleats here. So it's really easy to pull up and down, and most importantly, you can pop it down when it's not in use. Final fittings to look at the front here, we have two shade receivers, which are these fittings here. There's two of them fitted at the stern as well, and they accept some telescopic carbon shade poles, so you can literally shade the entirety of the tender within a few minutes of deploying that system, which is great for those slower transport journeys to shore when you've got guests on board. This tender, like every ribeye tender, is truly fitted with the best Lopo navigation lights, the best cleats, the best upholsteries that we can source from the market. And whilst this will be used as a workhorse tender, every ribeye is truly finished to guest standard, and every ribeye is also based on high volume deep V hulls, which makes these tenders an absolute pleasure for crew and owners to drive. So if something like a 6-metre outboard tender could work for your next tender requirement, please do get in touch and we'll happily tell you more about the tenders we build.